Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Heather if you're new here, and today I'm going to be sharing with you my fall TBR and some fall book recommendations. Fall is my favorite time of year to be a reader. It is my favorite time of year to be a reader because I'm a dark academia lover, I'm a spooky book lover, I'm a Gilmore Girls and practical magic lover. It's my favorite time of year to be a reader, so I have so many books to recommend you today that you should read this fall, alongside so many books that I have been looking forward to and saving for the fall season to read, and some new releases that are coming out soon. Just a bunch of books that I'm really excited for. If you follow me on Instagram, you've probably already seen some of these books that I'm going to recommend you today because I've been posting a few fall book recommendation videos on there. That's okay. Just stick around anyways. Listen to me yap again about these books, or just stick around and skip to my fall TBR. I'm going to start with the fall book recommendations. I have every single one of them but one sitting right here, and I'm going to start with the one that I don't own and just put a picture on the screen. Charming Your Dad. Charming Your Dad is by Sarah Blue. This is a book that I think you should read closer to October, honestly, or middle of September. This book is very much Halloween vibes because it's a paranormal romance, it's a demon romance, is it ex-boyfriend's dad? I believe it's ex-boyfriend's dad romance, but the son doesn't even know that his dad is a demon. It's crazy. It's also incredibly spicy, so if that's something that you're not into, be prepared to skip a few scenes or a few little chapters, or just don't read this one. Just making you aware, so whether that's your thing or it's not your thing, you know what you're getting yourself into. This is such a fun and fast-paced read though, and the FMC of this book is a witch, so you get that witchiness as well. This was one of my favorite books that I read last fall. Two books that I recently listened to on audio, but I ended up buying them because I love them so much and they only sell them in mass market paperback and I wanted them on my shelf. In the Company of Witches, which is the first book, and When the Crows Away. I talked a little bit about these books in my fall video that I posted last week. Both of these books feel like a witchy, warm hug, a mix of Gilmore Girls and practical magic. They're set at an Airbnb, and in the first book, In the Company of Witches, the main character lives with her two aunts at this B&B that they run, and one of their guests dies or gets killed, and so they kind of have to go on a murder mystery hunt, figuring out what happened to this lady in their home, who killed her, alongside so much other witchy business going on, because the main character in the first book doesn't really have her magical powers anymore. She doesn't really know how to use them. They've been dormant for a bit, and so we kind of also get to see her bring those powers back and get back into the swing of being a witch alongside a murder mystery hunt. The second book, When the Crows Away, also a murder mystery. Just look at how cute the covers are. They're adorable. I love them. Like I said, I did listen to the audiobook of these on Audible. The audiobook, really good. Really good for both of them. The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. If I could recommend you one witchy book to read this fall, it would be this book. This is another book that's like a witchy warm hug, and I love this book with my entire heart. The main character of the book is a witch, but she kind of has to hide her powers and she can't let other witches know that she has magical powers. And so the only time that she is showing people that she's a witch is online, and she pretends to be like a fake witch. Mika is used to being alone and she follows the rules, with one exception, an online account where she posts videos pretending to be a witch. She thinks no one will take it seriously, but someone does take it seriously. She ends up getting a mysterious letter, a really unwarranted, unexpected letter from these people asking her to come train these three children witches and kind of help them harness their powers at this house in the middle of nowhere called the Nowhere House. She does end up taking the offer and going to the house, the Nowhere House, to train these children and to help them harness their power and figure out how to use it. And when she gets there, she meets the librarian, the house librarian, Jamie. Enter the MMC, because this is a romance book. He is very skeptical of her. Jamie, the handsome and prickly librarian of Nowhere House, would do anything to protect the children, and as far as he's concerned, a stranger like Mika is a threat, an irritatingly appealing threat. One Dark Window. If you want a gothic fantasy book, the vibes of this are perfect for fall. This is actually a duology, and this one is free on Kindle Unlimited. I'm not sure if the second book in the series is available on Kindle, but this one is. The thing I loved the most about this book, and kind of the main focus of this book, is there's a monster living inside of Elspeth. She has a monster that is living within her, and she hears its voice, she hears it speak, she tries to control it, no one really knows. She calls this monster the spirit trapped inside of her, the nightmare. He keeps her secrets, but nothing comes for free, especially magic. If you're gonna read one like fantasy series this fall, please let it be this one. I love the series. Okay, if the first book that I mentioned, Charming Your Dad, sounded really, really good, and you were like, damn, I want to read that, and you want to read another book that has a demon MMC, Her Soul to Take. The town in this book gave me the same vibes as Mystic Falls. The eeriness of it, the creepiness of it. Mystic Falls is from the Vampire Diaries. Ray, the FMC of this book, hunts the supernatural for fun. That's a hobby of hers. Can't relate. I would be scared shitless, but she loves to do it. She ends up accidentally summoning this demon, and the demon happens to be the MMC of the book. And you're like, what the fuck? What the fuck? That's so ridiculous. I know, and I loved every second of it. He's supposed to be a killer, and he's supposed to kill her, but he can't. Killing is what I'm best at. One wrong move and you're dead. Except her. The one I was supposed to take. The one I should have killed. The cult that once controlled me. Once her. I forgot that there was a cult after her, honestly, until I read the back of that. There's also culty stuff, which makes it even better to read during fall. Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. This is one of my favorite books, and if you've followed my YouTube channel or any of my social media for a bit, you know I am obsessed with this book. I'm obsessed with this, what is to be a trilogy, but there's only 2 books out now. There's something about this book that genuinely speaks to my soul. I don't know. Maybe it's the dark academia aspect of it. Maybe it's the main character, Alex. I don't know, couldn't tell you. What I can tell you is this book is not going to be everybody's cup of tea. The basis of it is there are these underground societies at Yale that kind of make the world run a little bit. And Alex, the main character of the book, becomes one of the people and is brought to the school as one of the people that's kind of supposed to take care of and keep all of the societies in check alongside Darlington. But at the beginning of the book, we see that Darlington has gone missing, and it kind of jumps POVs back and forth from when Alex first arrived to come alongside Darlington to help him take care of all these societies and keep them in check. And then it fast forwards to Darlington being missing and Alex trying to figure out how he went missing and what is at play here and what is actually going on. There is a lot of detail you need to be on the lookout for. This is not just like a mindless read. You have to use some brain cells. This is also a book that gets better and better the more you reread it. I'm about to do my 4th read of this, and it's probably going to be even better the 4th time around, because the second time that I had ever read this, there were so many things that I had come across throughout the book where I was like, whoa, I don't even remember that from my first read. It's a lot to take in. Once you get it, but also it's not for everybody. Another dark academia book, The Secret History. This is a very popular book, and I think it is worth the hype, especially if you love dark academia. If you watch Saltburn and you really like Saltburn and you kind of want that in book form, this is the closest that I can recommend to that. It's very much just rich kids doing weird shit, and the main character of the book, he isn't a rich kid, but it's him and a bunch of other rich kids. And the rich kids are doing some weird shit. And he's like, what's going on? And it just follows his journey at the school with these kids the entire time. Let me tell you the first sentence of this book. I'm going to say it in Donna Tartt's tone of voice because Donna Tartt narrates the audiobook. And yeah, I've listened to the audiobook too. It says, the snow in the mountains was melting, and Bunny had been dead for several weeks before we came to understand the gravity of our situation. First off, Donna Tartt narrating this, iconic. If you read it and you think it's too slow, listen to the audiobook. It is also so good. Second, it jumps straight into it from the beginning, from the first sentence. Bunny, one of the students, a part of their little group, is dead. And then it jumps back to everything leading up to his death and how you got there. And it is just juicy and oddly dramatic. Hollow Heathens. I'm not going to talk too much about this book because I just read this book in my last video. So if you want my full thoughts, go watch my last video that I posted. But this book is perfect for fall. This is another one that the town that it's set in also gives Mystic Fall vibes. It's very witchy, very eerie. It has a forbidden romance in it, and it's everything about it is perfect for fall. If you're wanting more of a darker romance, a book I also talked a little bit about in my last video, Marrow by Bryn Weaver and Trisha Wolfe. This is a serial killer romance. The MMC of the book is a forensic anthropologist, and the FMC is a wildlife biologist. So it does give a little bit of dark academia as well. 2 serial killers, 1 common enemy, until he underestimates Dr. Kiri Roth. Will they kill each other first? I don't know. Will they? If you read Butcher and Blackbird and you liked it, read this one. Read this one. Nocticadia did touch on this one a little bit in my last video too. I just can't stop yapping about these fall books. Dark Academia, such a long book. It's available on Kindle Unlimited. It's like 700 pages. It's so long, but so worth it. The FMC of this book ends up going to this Ivy college. She gets free admission to go there to study this parasite, and she really wants to study this parasite and is really interested in it because she saw this creepy crawly thing crawl out of her mom's mouth. And she was like, what the fuck is this? And when her mom died, she had told everybody about it, but no one believed her. No one believed her, but turns out it's actually real and she wasn't just seeing things and she isn't crazy. She ends up going to this Ivy League school where the MMC of the book is one of the professors. So there is an age gap in this, but I didn't think it was creepy. If you don't like age gap, you might, I don't know. She's like in her 20s and he was early 30s. So I thought it was fine. It was also a slow burn. So there was a lot of build up to their relationship and it wasn't just lust filled. And I thought it was really, really well done. Also the eeriness of not only the college, but this parasite that they're studying. Incredible. Another dark romance recommendation that I have is There Are No Saints by Sophie Lark. This is a part of a duology. This is dark. At the beginning of this book, the MMC walks past the FMC where she is like near dead on the side of the road. He walks past, glances at her, sees her dying, and carries on with his merry way and just leaves her there. And you're like, what the fuck? What? Like they're supposed to fall in love? Yeah, they're supposed to fall in love. Yeah, they're supposed to fall in love. The FMC of the book is a little bit of a starving artist, and he like very much becomes obsessed with her art, everything about her. And he is just a rich man. I honestly can't remember what all he does. I just remember he's rich as fuck. And then the last book that I have to recommend today is Babel. I read this last December. And if you're wanting a dark academia book that touches on some really important and more deep topics, this is the book for you. This is very much a book that is a little bit more thought-provoking than the rest of these. Well, I guess The Secret History had me thinking a bit. This really dug into me. When I read this last December, I ended up bouncing back and forth between the physical book and the audiobook. Both are good options. This is very much history rewritten in a magical sense. A lot of it was very realistic to a lot of history, but written in a very arcane and magical way. Those are all the books that I recommend that you should read this fall. I do have more recommendations. So if you have somehow read all of these, let me know, like message me or comment something and I'll give you some other book recommendations. I didn't want this video to be like 6 hours long, but there are so many books that I just think are really good to read during the fall. So let me know. Now let's get into the books that I want to read this fall. Let me unlock my laptop. There are so many, and I don't think I own 2 of them. Where did they go? Oh, they're right here. Oh, I own 3 of them actually. The rest of them are either not out yet or I just don't own them yet. Let's start with the ones that I do own. First, Payback's a Witch. I feel like this one will give the same vibes as the X-Hex, but I think this is sapphic. This is just like a witchy romance book, a typical witchy rom-com, if you will. I believe it's sapphic. Yeah, their names are Emmy and Talia. A little sapphic witchy romance. I think this is a 4-book interconnected series too. This is the first of it. And if I'm not mistaken, all of the books in this interconnected series are sapphic. Masters of Death by Olivia Blake. If you watched this video, then you saw that Taylor had read this book. Taylor's one of my best friends, and she did not like it. She just does not really vibe with this author, and we tend to like the same books. So she said she did not like this book, but I had already bought it before she said that, and I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to give it a fair chance. I'm going to push her thoughts out of my head and I'm going to try it. I have tried to read a book by this author before the Atlas 6, and I just couldn't get into that one at the time that I read it. I wanted to go back to it, but then I never did, and I never really got into it. I ended up buying this one a month ago or so because I really liked the cover. So I'm excited to give this author another shot. I really, really want to like this book. And then I also have another book by this author on my TBR, One for My Enemy. I talked about this a bit ago. This is available on Kindle Unlimited. My friend Emily read this book and she loved it. Like, loved it. So this one is also on my TBR. Oh, wait, is One for My Enemy the one that has something to do with vampires? Witches. In New York City, where we lay our scene, two rival witch families fight to maintain control of their respective criminal ventures. That sounds phenomenal. How did I forget that one was about witches? And then this one, this is the one that's about vampires. Okay, I'm excited for both of those. The last book that I have on my physical TBR is the second book, this is so big, that comes after Hollow Heathens. So if you want to read this one, you're going to have to read Hollow Heathens first. I want to read Bone Island. I loved this author's writing style in Hollow Heathens. Loved it. It was so good. I don't know. I just like really enjoyed it. So I want to read this one. This is a big boy. Everything wrapped up in the first book, so I don't know what is going to happen in this one, but it's going to be witchy and it's going to be set in a spooky town, and that's really all I need. A love song for Ricky Wilde. I recently read my first book by Tia Williams a month ago, 7 Days in June, and I loved it. I believe this one has a little bit of like, is it magical realism? Is that the right word to use? It has a little bit of a magical sense to it, which I don't know if I'm going to like that or not. But regardless, I like this author's writing, so I'm really excited for this one. And I've also just heard really good things. The Hex. This is the only horror book that is on my TBR for the fall, I believe. This is a creepy book about a witch that kind of runs this one town. The summary says, "Whoever is born here is doomed to stay till death. Whoever settles never leaves. Welcome to Black Springs, the seemingly picturesque Hudson Valley town haunted by the Black Rock Witch, a 17th century woman whose eyes and mouth are sewn shut. Muzzled, she walks the streets and enters homes at will. She stands next to children's beds for nights on end. Everybody knows that her eyes may never be opened or the consequences will be too terrible to bear. The elders of Black Spring have virtually quarantined the town by using high-tech surveillance to prevent their curse from spreading. Frustrated with being kept in lockdown, the town's teenagers decide to break their strict regulations and go viral with the haunting. But in doing so, they send the town spiraling into dark medieval practices of the distant past. Apparently, it's like a blend of both horror and dark fantasy, and I am so excited for it. It's also available on Kindle Unlimited. Best Hex Ever. This is just a witchy rom-com. I think it comes out on October 1st, but I did get a copy of it on NetGalley, so I'm going to start reading it. I'm going to do I think a 24-hour fall reading video after this one, and I want to start that book in that video. I'll be starting it here pretty soon. What I've been told is the MMC is like obsessed with her from the start. Like he cannot get her out of his head from the start of the book, and that's the vibes I need. That's what I need. Impractical Magic. This book is apparently a mix of Practical Magic and Gilmore Girls. So I feel like it's gonna give me the same energy and feel as In the Company of Witches, because that's very much what this felt like. This book also doesn't come out till, I'm going to put the date here because I don't know the exact date, but it's not out yet. I did apply for it on NetGalley, which if you don't know, NetGalley is that website where you can apply for ARCs, advanced reader copies, so you can read the book in advance if you get approved. I applied for it on there. I don't think I'm going to get accepted if I'm being honest with you, but I do want to read this because we love a good witchy rom-com and we love a mix of Gilmore Girls and Practical Magic. I do want to do a couple rereads this fall. Black Sheep or Marrow. I did talk about Marrow in my recommendations. Black Sheep is also a serial killer romance. I just want to reread one of these books. Marrow, like I was telling you guys, both of the main characters are serial killers and it's giving Dark Academia vibes. Black Sheep is also giving Dark Academia vibes, but the MMC of the book is not a serial killer. He's a professor trying to take down a cult. I love things that have to do with cults. I love it. Another reread that I would like to do is Luna and the Lie. I just need to reread a Mariana Zapata book. I don't know if this one necessarily gives fall in any way. If anything, All Roads Lead Here gives way more fall vibes than Luna and the Lie, but I just want to do a reread of this one. I have the book on my shelf and it's like red and I don't know why. I don't know. I can't tell you. I want to reread this fall. I need to read another MZ book, like My Life Depends on It. I need the slow burnness. So this one. And then Dance of Thieves, which this is a fantasy book. And I feel like fantasy fall, very much the vibes. Very much the vibes. This is also an enemies to lovers romance, but the romance isn't like the main focus. Like there's more going on. The romance is there. I believe it was Fade to Black. I read it like 3 years ago. If I'm not mistaken, it's still available on Kindle Unlimited. That's where I read it. I own Vow of Thieves, the second book in this duology, but I haven't read that one yet, and I would like to someday, but I don't remember what happened in this one. So I can't read the second one without reading the first one again. And then the last book on my TBR for this fall is Immortal Dark. This is my most anticipated read for the fall. I talked about this a little bit in my last video as well. This is a dark academia fantasy book, and it's been said that if you like Ninth House and Cruel Prince, I accidentally said The Secret History in my last video. I meant The Cruel Prince. It's kind of a mix of Cruel Prince and Ninth House, and if you like those books, you will like this one. It's dark academia. There's vampires in it, and it comes out on September 3rd, and I need it in my hands now. I need it now. From the start, the FMC of the book, her sister has gone missing, and she thinks the vampire of her family's household, the household that they left a long time ago to get away from and to get away from the vampires, she thinks they have taken her sister. And basically throughout the majority of this book, she is going to this school and going back to her household to try and find her sister and try and figure out if her vampire of her household took her sister. And if not them, then who and what happened to her sister June. She's also going to like an academy during this, or like a school. Hold on. It says to find June, her sister, that she must infiltrate the elite Uxley University, where students study to ensure peaceful coexistence between humans and vampires and inherit their family's legacy. And I think there might be a little bit of romance in this. Dangerously romantic dark academia fantasy. There's romance in this as well. And those are all the books that I want to read this fall and my fall book recommendations. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video, and I will see you guys next week.